My name is Suzanne Bontempo, and I'm the program manager for the Our Water, Our World program that is designed to educate consumers and offer people tips and techniques for effective pest problem solving with a less toxic approach. Our Water, Our World is a really neat program that you can find at our local Home Depot stores. You'll find these fact sheets at the end of the pesticide aisle that will indicate different pest problems you might be faced with. These fact sheets will go through different tips and techniques to help you solve your pest problems with a less toxic approach. You'll also find these little shelf talkers that will be placed underneath the eco-friendly pesticides. These are going to help you with your decision making so you can be sure to get a product that's going to be less toxic for your family, for your pets, for your children, and most importantly, our environment and our local waterways. The first step to less toxic pest problem solving is to actually identify what the pest is. When we can properly identify the pest, then we can properly manage that pest for long-term results. From there, we employ different tools. For instance, one way we might manage pests in the home is by sealing up cracks and crevices around windows with a fresh bead of caulk or mortar or plaster or whatever you have to prevent those insects from coming in. In the garden, we might add compost to the soil to increase the health of the soil. When we have healthy soil, then we are growing healthy plants. And when we have healthy plants, those plants are less likely to get pest problems. Did you know that 90% of the bugs we see in the garden are actually good bugs eating bad bugs? You can learn about the 10 most wanted good bugs we'll find in our garden, the most common ones, from this brochure found on our website. The way to attract beneficial insects is by planting a variety of flowering plants, specifically plants with tiny flowers, such as yarrow or alyssum, or flowers that look like daisies or sunflowers. And the reason why is because these are clusters of tiny flowers, and most of our beneficial insects are tiny. And the adults will prefer to go for a nectar or a protein feeding, which is what these flowers are going to offer. Then the larvae of these insects are going to go for the protein meal. And they are very, very tiny. And they're going to be the ones keeping the balance in our gardens, taking care of the bad bugs that come up seasonally. To ensure that we have beneficial insects in our garden and ways to invite them in is we plant biodiversity, but most importantly, we put those pesticides down and we let the beneficial insects do the work for us. When we use a pesticide, it's really important to take that extra minute to read the label. The label is going to tell us so much. First of all, the pest that we're trying to manage needs to be listed on that label. If that pest isn't on the label, that product's not going to work for that pest. Second, we want to understand how that active ingredient works. What's the mode of action? Is this a product that we're going to spray on the insect as a contact kill? Or is this a product that when we apply it, that insect or that pest needs to ingest it? So that's really important to understand. So the next thing to keep in mind is we want to then read the label to see how often we need to reapply that product, because in some cases, such as with aphids, we do want to reapply a second and sometimes a third time to completely remove that pest from our garden. When we are finished using the pesticide, when that bottle is just about empty, we're just going to fill it up with a little bit of water, and we're going to just reapply it to the pests at the garden. It might be slightly diluted, but this will ensure that we have eliminated and removed all the pesticide from the bottle. Once that pesticide bottle is empty, we can put it safely in our recycling bin. If we have a little bit left over, or if we've got pesticides that we've had in the garden shed for years that we no longer are using, it's a great idea just to take them to your local household hazardous waste. It's free, it's easy, and it's a lot of fun. When we apply a pesticide, it's also really important to spray at the end of the day when the day has cooled off and those afternoon breezes have died down. That's the best time of the day to apply a pesticide. Then that pesticide has all night to dry, and then in the morning, there's not going to be any harmful residuals that will harm our pollinators, our families, our pets, or our children. We also want to be very mindful that we are not applying the pesticide when there is excessive heat, rain, or frost in the forecast for 24 hours, and we never apply when there is a breeze more than 5 miles an hour. It's always a good idea to make sure we're covering our skin, wearing long sleeves, non-cotton gloves, pants, and shoes, and if we need to, cover our face with a mask and eye goggles. We never know what kind of dermal reaction we might have, so it's always a good idea to cover our skin. It's a great idea never to be outside in the garden spraying a pesticide in short shorts and flip-flops. Okay, mosquitoes can develop very quickly. All it takes is a teaspoon of water, and then we have a massive mosquito infestation on our property. The first step in mosquito management is to walk around your property and to identify, are there any places that there could be standing water? So what that could look like is maybe saucers that are under plants that never drain, or maybe a pet food bowl that is always filled with water, even a bird bath that is always filled with water. We could look around fence lines and gutters around the roof lines and make sure that there aren't any little pools or puddles of water that are standing. Then we'd also look at tarps around the property or even used tires that still might be stored at the back part of the property. We want to make sure that those are off-site or that the water has drained out of them. From there, if we do have standing water, such as water features or ponds that are not being actively filtered, then we can use products that are very safe and effective. They're called mosquito dunks or mosquito bits. It's a beneficial bacteria that the larvae of the mosquito feed off of it. It is not toxic to the water, it's not toxic to the environment, it's specific just to mosquito larvae. From there, if we feel that we have a mosquito infestation that we're not identifying where the source is, or if it seems to be in a local storm drain, then we can reach out to our local vector control and they can come out and assess the situation to resolve the problem. The best way to manage lawns is to increase the health of that lawn. When we have a healthy lawn, that lawn is we will see less weeds in that lawn. The way we increase the health of the lawn is by watering that lawn a little deeper. We really want to make sure when we irrigate that lawn, we're getting down about 5 inches, and then we're not watering again until the top inch or 2 is dry. This way, we are favoring the root systems of the lawn and not the root systems of the weeds. The best way to feed our lawns is with organic fertilizer. And the reason why is because that organic fertilizer is actually going to offer food for that lawn for a longer period of time and at a rate that that lawn can take when it needs it. It is going to absorb those micronutrients and those macronutrients when that lawn needs it, unlike synthetic chemical fertilizers, where it is a quick boost, a quick push, stimulates a lot of new growth, and then that fertilizer just dissipates into the soil. It is also important that as our daylight hours get longer, that we're mowing our lawn a little taller. So we're raising the decks on the lawnmowers, and we're taking advantage of the taller grass blades to shade the root systems, as well as prevent weed seeds from germinating. As we get shorter daylight hours, we then start to mow our lawns a little shorter so that as we move towards the cooler season, that any moisture on the lawn can actually evaporate with ease. We'd also like to thank our partner, the Clovis Botanical Garden, that has allowed us to come and film today in this beautiful garden. We invite you to come and check it out, bring the family. It's a beautiful place to stroll on a lovely sunny day here in Fresno.